Can you even see me here? Holy crap, hold on. I guess, whatever. Hello. So I really suck at this whole vlogging thing, but I'm going to try it because why not? It's been a while since I've uploaded. I've actually recorded a whole bunch of videos that I never really ended up getting through. So we're just going to start recording some of the projects because maybe someone will be interested in it. Who knows? Worth a shot, right? Okay, so first off though, I kind of want to give you a tour of what's been going on in here. We'll start at the cool end here. So this is where I keep kind of my little hideout, all my collection, but my own junk. So over here we have the Palm Pilot collection. They're all kind of organized. I can pull some of them out. Right now I'm daily driving a Zyre 31, which is right over here. Just because I got a whole bunch of these in a package. Yeah, this is kind of where I keep all my collection of stuff. I'm not really sure what my goal is with all this. Just kind of computers that I like. This one, for example, is it's a Core 2 Duo overclocked with some Radeon card in it. It's just a fun XP machine. This one is just needs to have the motherboard pulled out of it. It's going to be put in a different computer. This one's just an empty case. This is a Pentium 4 with it's one of those weird giant square ones, 1.4 gigahertz I think, or 1.7. That's a Pentium 3, 1 gigahertz. It's a lot like a computer I built 10 years ago, and that's kind of a theme with a lot of this stuff. Is there's a lot of computers I had when I was a kid or wanted to have, and this is where I test out all the games and software and parts and everything that I'm trying to relearn about all this stuff so I can, you know, make it and sell it in the recycling business. So, and this is kind of, if any of these were close to a daily driver, this would be it. I use it for everything. It's just your average compact desk pro with a 500 megahertz Pentium 3 in it, but it's reliable and solid and runs everything. I think it's got a TNT2 in it now for a video card. And then down under here, so I've actually got two KVMs. I've got one here. This is an 8-port compact KVM. I don't know why the monitor's on. But that's an 8-port. Then I've got a 4-port back here, and that 4-port is actually plugged into that monitor. This one has a couple different computers on it. Come on, focus. Focus! Focus. There you go. First of all, we've got that XPS plugged into this monitor, and that one's actually running Windows 10. That's kind of my music production machine, I guess. So there's some random sound equipment stacked around in here, and some keyboards and synthesizers and stuff. So that's what that's for, and that's plugged in the DVI port on this monitor. But I've also got a fast Windows 98 machine, and then that one, the big one in the corner there, which is it's an overclocked FX 4-core processor at like 5 gigahertz and a GTX 560 or something, but it's basically just for really fast, high resolution XP games. What else do we have? Okay, moving on. Well, under here there's a bunch of kind of unfinished projects right at the moment. This one is just a slot 1 Pentium 3 with an S3 card in it, video card, and that's just kind of your basic 98 DOS machine. This one is a dual slot 1 Pentium 3 machine running Windows 2000 right now, and that's a workstation. I use it for testing a lot of this kind of workstation software that I end up picking up. Here we've got another Pentium 3 1 gigahertz, a socket. Oh, what's that weird AMD socket? The one right before AM2. Or maybe it was right before that. It's not the 939, it's right before that one, 7 something. Anyway, so that weird socket AMD processor in an NVIDIA board with an NVIDIA graphics card of some type. And that's just for XP games on this monitor. Over here we have this guy, which is a Pentium 200 MMX Packard Bell with a... This is my only machine running an actual Voodoo card because I got a good deal on it. I don't really recommend buying Voodoo cards. I think they're way too much for the money, and you can get a lot out of Englide. But it is kind of fun to have one with a... This is just a Voodoo 1, really basic setup, but it's great for a lot of these old like racing games, especially, that I liked playing as a kid. This one over here is a Super Socket 7. Oh gosh, what is it? I think it's a K62 400, something like that. K62 500? I don't know. It's the 400 megahertz processor, I believe. And it is also running an S3 video card. It had issues with the NVIDIA ones, and the ATI ones that would work in it just were not fast enough. We've got a spot down here for a PS2 I'm thinking about trading something for. This guy is also plugged into the same KVM. This one's a little hard to see, but this has been a really long-term project for me. Had to do a lot of troubleshooting with the motherboard and solder on some components that had broken off. But that guy has a dual Pentium 1, I think they're 100 megahertz processors, but it has two of them, so that's kind of fun. This guy, right now, there's a K62 or a K6266 in it, but this case is going to get a 486. I've got a motherboard and a bunch of parts over there, just waiting for it. All the crap stacked on top of it is things that go with that motherboard that's in it currently, and that is probably going to be transplanted into one of these cases. And it actually supports ATX as well, so we're probably going to power it with ATX. This is one that I'm kind of proud of. I've held on to it for a very long time. It's missing a drive right now, but none of these actually work. There's an IDE drive inside, and then I've added a dual density floppy disk to it. But what this is a computer made by a company that my parents owned before and then shortly after they were married. So this is one that they made before I was around, and it is a 286 AT clone. But I kept it around for, I think, a solid decade now, and finally this last couple of years got it working. Picked this monitor up with a dead Dell 286, and it's a whole working package now. I even got I have a Sound Blaster in it that had a broken AdLib card, or had a broken, the Sound Blaster part of it doesn't work, but the AdLib does, so I just used the AdLib in there, and it feels pretty correct. This is another one I'm proud of. Right now it's got a laser keyboard from a Laser XT, but this is an XT ADDS branded. I think they were made in Italy. I'll have to look up. I've got some of the original documentation for it, but there really aren't any around here, not in the US. This is one of my first sets of videos was fixing this guy, and I've been slowly working on it since. It still has the 3.5 inch floppy drive in the back of it that you can use, and then I've finally been able to get these two drives working reliably. This one's a relatively new addition. I've always wanted to get into the old 68K Max, but never really had, time, motivation, money, whatever, but ended up trading a Tandy for this one, and works great. It's a little rough on the outside, but between that and this keyboard that I obviously need to retro bright, but I kind of like it like that. I've been messing around with that one a lot, and it uses an SD card as a hard drive here, which makes it really convenient to test old stuff on. I just got an extension and mounted it down here on the little stand, so really convenient. This guy is just a cool old TV. It's plugged into a Raspberry Pi, and then it's got this keyboard that attaches to it, and that pretty much just runs old emulators. I'm not really I would love to get into 8-bit stuff, but it's a little before my time, if I'm honest. I do like playing with it because one of the first computers I ever used was my dad's C64, but for me, an emulator's fine. This is, the main workstation. I'm going to skip over that for now because it is a horrible mess, and that's where we come to this. so far. So to give you an example, or give you an idea of what's going on in here, this is actually a 700 square foot garage, and this is just an office that we built in the back of it. So as you can tell, I have a huge mess. I just moved out of a shop that I was renting. I've started this whole recycling business in here, and man, every time I get a little too busy, everything falls apart. So this is part of the reason I'm making a vlog about this. Is I want some accountability for myself to get this mess cleaned up today. This is it. I'm sick of it. We just have stuff stacked everywhere. This one needs to be sold. I've been cleaning it with rubbing alcohol. If I sound like I'm high, that's why. It has this rubbery coating on it. If you've seen my other videos, that's the easiest way to clean that / remove it is rubbing alcohol. This is just my general kind of part storage. I've got all my erased hard drives in there. I was digging through it, some other drives up there. Drives. Parts. The board repair section is kind of over here. As you can see, I've got stacks of boards I need to get around to fixing, which is why I've cleared out a space up there. I'm going to start storing all the boards in a better way. More parts. Parts everywhere. Power supplies. This is kind of the main workbench area. That both these monitors have cables attached to them. Pretty straightforward stuff. Really good setup. I like working on it while standing. And all the parts are just kind of stored around, so it makes it really easy to work on. I just badly need to clean it all, obviously. So this box, you probably heard the AC in the background, and the reason is there's an AC unit, a window unit, behind there sticking out the back of the garage. And the reason that is because this has my servers in it. So I was too cheap to buy a rack, and I'm too cheap to pay the cooling for this entire room, you know, down to 68 degrees or whatever I like keep my servers at. So I threw the servers in there. Of course, this is covered up, and it's not sealed very well right now because it's actually pretty good temperature, so I'm not too worried about the efficiency this time of year. But this way I can check my battery and my power consumption and turn the whole thing off if I need to from the outside. But during the summer I seal this thing up. AC runs in the background, keeps it nice and cool in there. Last part of the collection is this giant NEC. It's not a Trinitron, it's a Diamondtron. I want to say it's a Mitsubishi Trinitron clone. They're kind of like halfway between a Shadow Mask and a true whatever they call that, the Trinitron wire mesh monitors. And then over here I've got my two gaming machines. That one is the newest machine I own, probably. It was flood damaged and just totally ruined, and after a lot of dishwashing and oven baking and soldering and all sorts of crap, it now boots mostly, and I've got Windows 10 and Windows XP on it, and I use that to just play games with my family on there. Same with this guy. This one's some sort of, what do they call that? The Post K6. It's like an Athlon 2200 plus, 2000 plus, something. Anyway, it's the 1.8 gigahertz Athlon with a Radeon 8500, and just enough to play like Quake and stuff in Windows 98 at full resolution on that monitor. Got more parts over here, more parts, more cables, more parts. Dead laptops everywhere. I always keep the dead laptops, even when there are just stacks of them and they are in the way, because that is the only way I can make money off of rebuilding laptops, honestly. So basically, if I keep 7 laptops around, eventually I have enough parts to make one that's reliable. And I never know when one's going to come in and is going to need a part like this guy over here, which needed an inverter board, I think, or a battery or something out of another laptop that I'd had on a shelf for 2 years, so whatever. As long as it works. Books, parts, collection, blah blah blah. Battery's running out. But part of what we're going to see here, I'll get the battery charging and then we'll start going around, is how we're going to set this up. Because I want to be able to work on cars, wood, pianos, and the entire recycling business out of this one garage. So hopefully the next couple of videos you'll be able to kind of see what's going on. But that's kind of an introduction to what I'm doing in here. If there's anything you're interested in or anything you want to see in particular, send me a comment. I really, it helps me stay motivated to work on some of this stuff. I'm happy to make a video about it if it's something you like. So I guess that's kind of the point of this video. What do you guys want to see? I don't even know how to do this stuff. So tell me. I'll go through some of the projects and how they work.